Hi Arthur, it's Mark here. I thought I'd take the time to respond to all the material that's appearing on your site by video. I'm a slow typer, mate, so hopefully you're okay on posting this. And one thing that I will say from the outset is that I think it's very cool that you're happy to post both sides of any given situation. So I commend you for that, mate. I want to let everyone know that I'm making this video under full liability, whether that's as a sentient being, as a person, as whatever entity you want to call it, without everyone getting all technical. I'm making this video under full liability, so I stand behind everything that I'm saying. And I'm actually not making it just upon myself. I think people need to realise that some of the damning and slanderous comments that have been made reflect on the whole Truthology team, and the team is quite large now. And the team is made up of all clients. Everybody who works for us did our processes and then approached us wanting to work with us because of how fantastic the results were for them. So we have people that have worked for us for years, despite the comments made by my former partner Beatrice. People that have worked for us for years, like Tracy. Tracy alone did mortgages, personal loans, credit cards, car loans, the whole box and dice with us, and she's been working for us for a long time. We also have Yvonne. We have our partner now in Australia, AB, who also did lots of processes with us. We have Fotis in Sydney. We've got Greg. We've got Yvonne, and we've now got a team over here in the UK. Consisting of Sheila and Thomas. So, and the team's growing all the time. We have a backlog of people approaching us wanting to work with us. So when these comments are made, it doesn't just affect me, it affects the whole team, and I'm speaking on behalf of the team to vehemently reject a lot of what I'm going to call as absolute garbage that's appearing. We've got thousands and thousands of members, Arthur, and hundreds of clients. And what we do, I'm sure everyone's going to appreciate, what we do is highly contentious work. And is coupled with highly contentious possible outcomes. We're also dealing with very emotional people. I mean, I do 5 to 6, sometimes 8 Skype calls a day with people that come to us. They're in a whole world of financial pain. This then reflects in them being under stresses in other areas of their life. A lot of people come to us with marriage problems and work issues, and they're feeling very emotional. So it's a highly contentious, for lack of a better word, industry that we work in. So do we have some disgruntled clients along the way? Absolutely, as does any venture. And I guess we've learnt a lot about how to try and manage people's expectations through all of this, because when we first started years and years ago, of course we were green around the gills and very excited about all the information that we had learnt through people like Mark Batelik and Peter Duff and all the other usual suspects in this area. But what we've learnt is that we really need to manage people's expectations, because no matter how many times, and I used to start all my workshops with a very important word, which was responsibility. And I think that the most important thing through this is that people take self-responsibility, number one, for how they got to where they are, and number two, picking up the pieces and moving on. And we have always said open-handedly, we have no guarantees through this. This is pioneering stuff, and we certainly cannot guarantee the outcomes, and people need to take their own responsibility in continuing their study so that they can truly act as a sovereign and for themselves with competency. So that's one thing that we've definitely learned, is that managing people's expectations is absolutely critical. So along the way, whilst I can say that till I'm blue in the face, I find that when people are emotional, and especially if people have done mortgages or something that is attached to their home, something so dear to their heart, that we need to be super clear about the possible outcomes. So yes, we have a terms and conditions. I think Beatrice has written, if they stand behind everything that they do, why do they have to have this big disclosure document? Well, the reason why we have to have that document is for the reasons that we're talking about here. I think people need to be absolutely clear about their responsibility and the possible outcomes. I'll tell you the other thing that I've done for the last few years is I record all of my Skype calls, every single one of them categorized week by week, so that if anybody ever comes back and says, you said this, or Truthology said this, I simply send them a copy of the appointment that we had. I've only had to do it once, Arthur. So, I think that we've learnt a lot, as have a lot of people in this industry along the way, about how to manage people's expectations. I think a lot of people come to people like myself, and it's not just myself. Let's be clear here. We get people approaching us all the time who said, I did the Thomas Anderson approach, or I did Franco Collins, and I love Franco Collins. I've just done a big interview with Frank. Or I've done Mark Batelek's or Beatrice's. We've had lots of people come to us saying, Beatrice, hung up on me. I rang her with an issue and she told me I had been dishonourable and hung up on me. We get that all the time. Boo-hoo. The problem is that, as I said, a lot of people that come looking for magic bullets and one-letter answers to all of this are really stuck in victimhood, and they need to take responsibility for themselves. Now, I know that may sound tough, but that is the reality of the situation that we're in. So, certainly by us having everything recorded and having terms and conditions, are we not then 100% transparent? We can't manage everybody's expectations carefully through this. There are always going to be some people who are not happy. And, I have to say, Arthur, that you being a family man, you're going to appreciate this. Why this came to bear for us was a few years ago, we had a client who did a couple of 3-4 mortgages through us, a truckload of credit cards and so forth. And the husband committed to doing quite a bit of study, but the wife didn't. Okay, now we've learnt a lot that both parties have to be on board with this. I want to tell you what happened, mate. They started getting a few letters, as is expected, from lenders. And my beautiful partner, Steph, had lent this lady a whole heap of books about how to get pregnant and on parenting and all this sort of stuff, because she was trying to get pregnant. She walked back into this lady's shop in Byron Bay just to gather a couple of the books back. And this woman stood in Steph's face. Steph was 8.5 months pregnant, Arthur. This is an 8.5-month pregnant woman. Not that what was said should happen to any other human being. And this lady stood 1 inch away, came right at Steph's face and said, I have dreams about how to kill you. I want to kill you. You should be dead. And Steph just burst into tears and came running out of the shop. And when she told me, I'll tell you what, mate, for as much meditating and work I've done on myself, it took everything I had not to go in there and deal with that situation. I think that's absolutely disgraceful. Should we have to deal with that? Is that part of managing people's expectations? I think not. And so certainly we're very clear now with people about what their responsibility in this whole process is. Okay, so Arthur, I just want to make comment here about some of the things that you said about us ripping people off, because when you make comments about me, you make comments about the whole Truthology team, and so we're all going to respond perhaps at different times. And, you've also made comments about a sour taste that I left in your mouth in 2009, Arthur. So I certainly hope that you post this on your site, because here's my response, mate. I learned of Mark Batelek doing a course down at your place in Barrel. I had already just done, I think about 2 or 3 weeks earlier, one of Mark Batelek's other courses up in Queensland. This was at a time, Arthur, when I had just woken up to all this information and had walked away from my financial planning business. I had a fledgling financial planning business, and of course, when I got this information, I couldn't do it anymore. And that broke up that financial planning company. We were so excited about coming down to see Mark Batelek. I actually got a couple of the other partners in the business, who was Craig Finlay and Jamie Lyons. The other person who came down in the car with us that night was Beatrice, my partner at the time. We drove all night from Queensland down to your place in Barrel. We were late. We were late getting there, so we weren't there for the sign-in time. And yes, mate, we didn't pay you at the sign-in time. Now, I remember standing with Craig on one side and Beatrice and Jamie on the other. And mate, you came charging up to me, right up into my face, with this whole story about us not paying you was unethical, you had costs to cover, and whatever it was, this whole story. Mate, after you left, we all looked at each other and went, whoa, what was that about? Mate, okay, we didn't pay you on time, but dude, we had driven all night, we were absolutely exhausted, And I'm absolutely positive, mate, we would have paid you. That we weren't in the business of driving interstate to rip you off, mate, to watch Mark Batelek speak. Come on. I mean, and you know what? There was other parties there. It wasn't just Mark Darwin. So I don't know why Mark Darwin left a sour taste in your mouth. There was Craig Finlay, Jamie Lyons, and Beatrice. And Beatrice has brought this up in her conversations. And in fact, I'm sorry, I can hardly keep a straight face. Beatrice had collected the money from everybody else. So it was Beatrice who needed to give the money to you. Anyway, Arthur, if that is what left a sour taste in your mouth, mate, come on. I mean, I've done many seminars since, and we used to have people driving overnight from Canberra, from Cairns, from all over the place to come to our workshops, and they would arrive late. Mate, I wouldn't be up in their face at lunchtime telling them that what they were doing was unethical. I would welcome them with open arms saying, gee, you look tired, do you need a cuppa? So, mate, if that is what the sour taste in your mouth was from 2009, mate, I've watched enough of your posts to know that you're a very aware man. So I think it's time to move on for that, mate. And if that has set the platform for you, thinking Mark Darwin rips people off, and rips people off, mate, if you only knew, mate, I'm sitting in our little office here in our home in Scotland. If you only knew how often Steph tears shreds off me and how often I tear shreds off Steph because we do so much work for free. Mate, there's times where we're up till 2 a.m. talking to people. Rip people off. Mate, we've had clients who are considering suicide. They actually text Steph late at night. This is when we were back in Australia saying, that's it, I'm out of here, I can't do it anymore. We've made pots of soup, mate, and gone around to their house and sat with them till all hours in the morning. We've got people that have been in dire straits. I've gone to help them move house. We do so much work for free. I got called yesterday from people using this OPPT stuff, and I'm with you, Arthur. I think that there's holes in it. But I do so much work for free. And you know what? The funny thing is, in the early days, some of these clients that we did work for free became the squeakiest wheels. Anyway, mate, I do find it interesting, Arthur, that in your site you put a lot of other truthers down, like Franco Collins. I've even seen you put Peter Duff down. Oh, let's talk about Peter Duff. There's talk around that we've plagiarised Peter Duff's foundation documents. I'm happy to talk about that if I may. I went to a Peter Duff workshop around the same time. I think it was late 2008, 2009. And I found Peter very captivating. His whole stories of sitting in the mountains and reading the works of Meher Baba, the book of Meher Baba that's this big, and reading the Quran and the Bible and meditating and truly coming into this sentient being that he is. And so actually, Arthur, I put on 2 workshops for Peter and contacted my whole database through my financial planning business, which really dishevelled them, and put on 2 workshops for Peter. Peter then came to stay in my house, mate, and I'm doing this. Mark James Darwin is doing this under full liability, right? Peter then came to stay in my house with Beatrice at the time, and this apparently totally aware man then proceeded to drink 2.5 bottles of red wine, smoke some wacky dacky. I don't have any issues around people doing that, although I did find it interesting, and started telling me that older men like Peter, older men carrying the wisdom in their seed, should seed younger women, and that he believes women should be giving birth at the age of 12 to 14 because that's when their body is at its prime. So the older men with the seed should impregnate the 12-year-old girls, and that in fact that's what he does. Mate, I'm sorry, Arthur, I know you've got kids. Mate, if any 60-year-old men come and want to have sex with my 12-year-old daughter, look out. There's actually a word for that, mate, and I find that morally, ethically, and anything else irreprehensible behaviour. So, of course, I have nothing to do with him. And you know what? Peter Duff made threats to me and did send a cease and desist notice. And I said, no problem, Peter. If you want me to go public, which is what I'm doing now, I'm happy to go public. We do not use Peter Duff's document. The document that I paid for through Peter Duff, which he told me then became my intellectual property, has been altered many, many times through myself, through our partner, through a lawyer and a barrister. And so bring it on, Peter Duff, and anyone else that has any issues. It's absolutely disgraceful, mate, who you are. And, collecting money on behalf of New Humanities Collaborative or whatever it is to go off and set off your little orphanages with your young women in the Philippines, disgusting. absolutely disgusting, and anyone watching this needs to beware. So, you know what, Arthur? There's my truth of it, mate. I'm here to let people know who are watching this that we at Truthology are 100% proud of what we've done. Have we learnt some lessons along the way? Absolutely. Absolutely we have. And that's why we are super clear about what the path ahead is. In terms of what we do with credit cards and personal loan, we've had an absolutely brilliant record. And I'm happy to talk with people about that. Whenever people talk to me about mortgages, and I'm sure that people watching this, hopefully will get on and verify this, I could not be clearer about the risks in doing a mortgage. And in fact, we haven't taken a mortgage on for a long time. We actually help people arrange a hardship arrangement for at least 6 months and give them a heap of information to study, so that at the end of that 6 months, they have a very, very clear understanding of the risks, the responsibilities, and the possible outcomes of taking on a mortgage. So I'm here to say that everybody at the Truthology team is offended and disgusted by some of the slanderous comments put on your site, and we are extremely proud of what we do. We love our fellow men and our fellow brothers and sisters, and some of the comments on here hopefully will now be seen for what they are. What's the date today? I think it's the 7th of May 2013. So just to put a timeline on this. Anyway, Arthur, mate, I wish you and your family well. We're proud of what we do, and I certainly hope that you put this post up as a response from us. And that's, you know what, that's pretty much all we're going to say on this, because we're just going to get on with it. We're sick and tired of all these negative, slanderous comments. Okay, Mark, signing off for now.